Hi, welcome again. I'm so excited to teach you again one more of the principles of the life of Jesus Christ, what made him the world's greatest leader. We're going to be discussing today the fact that Jesus took upon himself the identity of a servant. Quite unusual for the world's greatest leader. Most of the time, people in high profile will take upon themselves a persona of somebody high and mighty. Jesus did the exact opposite. Though he was mighty, he became lowly. So, in my opinion, this is strictly my opinion, one of the most powerful verses in the entire Bible is found in Philippians chapter 2, beginning verse 5, and then it goes on to verse 10, but I want to read you the verse 5 and 6, 7 maybe. Who being in very nature God, morphe means completely God, did not consider equality with God something that was to be grasped, robbed, it's a very forceful word. But he made himself nothing. The Greek word is kenosis, emptied himself totally of everything that was self-promotional. Jesus emptied himself of all self-promotion. And he took upon himself the very nature, again, morphe, it's the Greek word, we've already used it one time, where he was in the morphe of God. He now became in the morphe of a servant. So as the servanthood, he embraced it, he clothed himself. And I mean, it's just like you would, in fact, it's more than just wrap yourself with a garment, like I'm now a servant because I put on a servant's robe. It is more than just wrapping yourself in the identity. He literally morphed himself as a servant. He chose to be a servant. Being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself, became obedient to death, even the death on the cross. And then this is actually, if you want me to just cheat and go to the end of this, what God did when he became lowly, when he humbled himself, is then God therefore highly exalted him to the highest place, verse number 9 and verse 10. But going back to the servant nature is that the greatest leaders that I've ever met are those that are merely servants. So Paul started his epistles, Paul, a servant of the Lord Jesus Christ. Only a couple of epistles do not start this way. Paul, a servant of the Lord Jesus Christ. James said it, James, a servant of the Lord Jesus. Peter said it, Peter, a servant of the Lord Jesus Christ. Because the highest form of leadership in God's economy is that of serving. So for all of those that want to be great, I've got good news for you. Get the toilet brush and start cleaning. For those that want to be famous, make yourself humble. Make yourself the servant of famous people. For those that want to be exalted, humble yourself. Because the profile that Jesus took was, he was a servant. So he tried to get this message across to the disciples in an illustrated form. So he does this in John 13, and it's the Last Supper. We know it as the Last Supper. And it describes the fact that whenever they came in there, he robed himself as a servant, got down on his knees, and began to wash their feet. Then he told them that they were to do the same thing. Well, in Middle Eastern households, I mean, that's fairly low. You came in with dirty feet, it was the servants that washed your feet. The servants did all of the dirty work, just like today. The master of the house or the people that are the owners of the servants get all of the attention, and the servants do all of the work. So what Jesus did, he did to describe what type of leadership he was wanting to get across to the disciples, if you're going to be great. So we live in a generation of self-promotion that is amazing to me. It really is kind of disgusting, nauseating to me. All of the self-promoted people, they give themselves titles, they have great titles, great names, and we give them all of this affirmation or all of this accolade. And if Jesus were here right now, he would just clothe himself as a servant. If Paul were here, he would clothe himself as a servant. So Paul said, I'm a prisoner of the Lord Jesus Christ, I'm a servant of the Lord Jesus Christ. In the book of Revelation, we're going to be servants, by the way. We're going to be servants following the Lamb around wherever he goes. Just how can we wait on the Lamb? So in God's eyes, the greatest leaders are those that take upon themselves the form of a servant. So it is discussed all of the way through the Bible. The reward that God gives for those who choose to serve is that he will then exalt you, highly exalt you. And God did that with his Son, and he's going to do that with you as well. So if you serve yourself into greatness through faithfulness, as you serve yourself into greatness, instead of clamor for greatness, God knows how to promote you. So trust him. It is a major principle of leadership. And I hope you catch it, because your future is determined by how you respond to this message today. So I love you. Be blessed.